Illuminati.
I just want to shake some sense into you kids.
Okay, so I have to change the titles, but other than that, we're keeping the music and the video. But we're going to change the name of the show to Pissed Off Gen-Xers, because that's all we really do now.
Preferably hold them around the throat when you shake them. I like
Yeah.
the Homer Simpson grip myself.
Yeah. 2 hands, you can't get away.
Yep, 2 hands, take them back and forth. Oh, man, it's been a hell of a week.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting week, 4th of July, the Wrath of Zeus, playing Fallout 76 with you guys, then the game. Oh, speaking of the game, I found. Remember how I mentioned we're gonna do some classical legendary modules.
Yeah.
I found my PDFs of them, so I'll be able to start conversion of them. And I'm looking at it. It's like you forget how lethal first edition is until you start looking at it. You're like, oh my god, that's right. You get 3 of these things on your 8th level fighter, and he's just fucked.
Oh god.
Yeah, I think things were a bit more unforgiving back then.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, the spells were more limited. You didn't have you had more of them because I think I'd have to go out there and look at my player's handbook, but I'm pretty sure that spellcasters got more spells back then. But they were also pretty heavily regulated. Magic items were more heavily regulated. And all that good shit. I mean, a 5th level fighter might have a +1 shield and a +2 sword, and that was it. And it was very unforgiving. Because back then, you could only be resurrected as many times as your Constitution score, and when somebody used Raise Dead on you, you lost a point of Constitution. And even then, there was a chance it wouldn't work. And elves could not have Raise Dead used on them, if I'm right. They could only be reincarnated, I think. I'd have to look it up. It's been years since I looked at the rules. But yeah, it was a lot more unforgiving. I mean, you didn't get a save if a specter touched you, you lost 2 levels. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You just lost 2 levels.
So this is 1st edition, not 2nd, right?
1st edition.
You're talking when Elf was a character class.
No, that's basic D&D.
Oh, that's basic. Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about 1st edition Dungeons and Dragons, and these modules are classics. I mean, big time. I mean, they're challenging, they're different, and even nowadays, compared to the stuff nowadays, they are a world different from. And what's fucked up is one of them, is the Slavers series, a very famous series, but you can't do the Slavers series anymore in Wizards of the Coast or Paizo because they've completely retroactively gotten rid of slavery.
Yeah, because we know that slavery never happened in the Middle Ages.
Yes. And so, you lose this fantastic adventure that if your DM was really feeling froggy, you would start with the Slave Lord series, A1 through A4, and then you'd move to the Giants, tracking where these slaves were going, and then eventually end up fighting a god. And all based on, tracking slaves. And they got rid of all that. And it's like slavers were the last people that you did not feel any moral compunction about just slaughtering them. And
you cared less about them than orcs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your paladin had no problem crucifying the survivors of the fight because they're slavers, and that's an anathema to all good races.
Well, I can only assume Wizards of the Coast is all for slavery. So,
they're all for slavery when it comes to not paying their freelancers.
That's for sure.
You want to talk about the most ridiculous thing I've seen this week, though?
What?
So some idiot, some moron on the internet, blue check mark, big deal, millions of followers, takes a picture of some biplanes at a park. You know those rides where the kids sit in the biplanes and it just goes up and down?
Yeah.
Well, he took a picture of one that was done up like the Red Baron's plane. And he was like, why do we allow amusement parks to have children ride in Nazi planes?
Oh God.
And everybody was like, "You fucking moron! That's World War I." And that is not the Nazi Iron Cross. He's like, well, the Nazis appropriated it, and it's like we use that for our marksman badges. Well, maybe we shouldn't. And then the whole, well, World War I, we were still fighting Germany, so why do we have the planes of our enemies? And it's like, you complete and they became the Nazis anyway. It's like you complete and utter moron, because a brief period of time, Germany was under the influence of Nazism. We're supposed to hate all Germans everywhere for all time and paint even the Germanic empires of the early 8th century with the brush of Nazis?
Well, if you're Seth Rogen, yes.
I mean, how ridiculous is it? I mean, what's the blood guilt like? How long does Germany have to labor under this? When can they put it to rest? When can they say, okay, that was a bad thing that happened in history, but everybody's dead. Can we please not forget about it, but move the fuck on? Or do German kids born 100 years from now have to hear how they're Nazis because 150 years ago, 180 years ago, their ancestors were Nazis? I mean, how far does it go? How
I
long
think
does
it
it go
goes
on?
as far
Can
as
you
they
guys
can.
catch me up since I popped in late? I just all of a sudden everybody's talking about Nazis and planes.
Well, it's pretty much what you caught up on. But I mean,
Oh,
it's
okay.
a kid's ride, and people are like, well, you have the British plane on there right behind it. That's Snoopy and the Red Baron. He's like, well, why would they have the Red Barons up there? What child would want to play the Red Baron? It's like, for fuck's sake, it's a ride. The kid doesn't know any better. It's brightly polished. It's just bright colors. And he was all, oh, because the Nazis appropriated the Iron Cross, nobody should use it ever. It's like,
Well, I've noticed that Hollywood's really been trying to push Nazis as the ultimate bad guys again, because they don't want anyone to be looking at them.
yeah. I mean, we get it. Nazis were bad. I mean, we've known this since the 1940s. I mean, for fuck's sake. But
What's really funny is just saying everybody talks about how bad the Nazis were, and that it sucks that Germany still has to deal with it. Yet everybody worships Japanese pop culture right now, and they get shocked Pikachu face when you hear how bad they were too.
oh
So
God.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
they're like
I
1,000 times worse. So I
but
mean, I think people need to lay off Germany and its people.
I think, yeah, what it is it's an easy scapegoat. I mean, in the 90s, I met a few actual neo-Nazis. I mean, they are not the kind of people I would want to hang around. I ran into them in like college and stuff like that. And they are not what people claim. These were your shaved headed, tatted up, roided up dudes that lived in like a compound. Nobody liked them. They were assholes. But the fact that this guy sees a plane, a red painted biplane with the Iron Cross on it, and it's supposed to be Manfred von Richthofen, and he throws a complete hissy fit because how dare they have a German plane on there? It's like, how long do I have to keep this blood guilt going? Are you so starved for enemies that you have to make an enemy out of a people who that's history from 100 years ago, over 100 years ago?
Yes, they are that starved for enemies at this point.
Oh, well, I mean, you've heard the latest now. Just not only are they wanting to keep the Nazis, going, but child slavery and child sex trafficking doesn't exist.
Yes, it
No.
doesn't exist. It's a QAnon
Yeah.
conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yep. Because that movie Sound of Freedom came out on 4th of July, tanked the Indiana Jones movie based on a true story, no less.
Mhm.
And the entire media said, oh, no, that's not real. That's all blown up. But there's more slavery today than there has ever been in history. So, yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it just sounds like, no, it's the same usual shit. Hollywood sucks. They're full of pedophiles and they need somebody to blame. So everybody's a Nazi.
I was really thinking about it, right? And I think there's a couple things. I think Hollywood's afraid because, let's face it, they're the pedophiles.
Yeah.
But I think also the left in general is kind of worried because it destroys the narrative.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone who sees it suddenly realizes, why are we bitching about slavery from a couple hundred years ago?
There was some dumb bitch that went on CNN that said that child sex slavery was a myth, that was QAnon, and we should still be focusing on the slavery that happened 300 years ago in our country. Fuck you. I'm really angry about that.
I mentioned on one of the other shows that I'd researched slavery for the book Slavers 1 and Slavers 2 for my old
Yeah.
from my old RPG. the witness accounts and what these kids went through and what these women went through for the sex slave trade. I was reading stuff about it, including, like Border Patrol that busted these rings, and it was just horrifying. And for the fact of them to jump up and down and say this doesn't matter, and then I've read on Middle Eastern slavery. Middle Eastern slavery never stopped. Slavery in Africa and the Middle East never stopped. And it's just everybody politely looked over it. And there's open air slave markets in what used to be Libya, and nobody's getting all upset and bent out of shape about that. Nobody's getting all bent out of shape over the fact that you have people here in America who import people from other countries, including buying these people in Libya and bringing them in on private planes and having slaves. They're going to other countries. They're going to like the open air slave markets in Libya and in not Angola, but anyway, they're going to the open air slave markets. They're importing them back to the US and they literally have slaves here in America, and nobody does anything because they're rich.
Okay, I'm going to throw something out there. This is the guy at The Guardian who said that it was all conspiracy theories and that this child slavery stuff is bullshit. And
he looks like a pedophile.
Exactly.
He looks like a pedophile. My parent radar is going nuts.
I saw that and I was like, somebody check this man's hard drive.
Yeah, look at this guy. This is the guy who wrote for The Guardian that Sound of Freedom was a horrible film that was just stoking anti-trans and racist. Yeah.
Oh my God, what the fuck does transgender have to do with child sex slavery? Please explain that one to me.
I don't think that they should be conflating that.
Oh my God. Yeah, I agree with you on that one,
I'll find it again. I was looking at it a second ago.
But I mean, there's the whole, The Guardian screaming, Sound of Freedom is a right wing conspiracy movie, and he drives off, and what did he say? I don't know, something about grooming children.
Yeah.
Well, they also have said, now I even actually went and checked the Wikipedia to see if they had actually changed it, but the guy who the movie is based on started an organization that now goes in. It's basically made up of some of it has like ex-special forces, and they go in and they bust these rings and they free these children. On Wikipedia, they've changed the what is it? The entry for this, saying that all of their cases have been exaggerated and overblown. That they haven't really busted anybody. That is disgusting.
That is the new media talking point, that it's all a mistake and these children were ripped away from their guardians.
Yeah, like, okay, so I don't want to see this movie because I know what it's about, but I'm gonna go see it anyway. Because you, Hollywood.
You do know what the theaters are doing, right? The theaters are turning off the air conditioning in those and then refunding your money.
I will swelter. I'm okay with that.
The fix is in. The movie theaters are actually being told not to light up the marquee for them, not to turn off the air conditioning, to run it on the shittiest screens they have. The fix is in. And you know what its big sin is? Its big sin is not only that, it's real life pedophile and child slavery rings, but its biggest sin that it cannot be forgiven with by the Twitter sphere and Facebook and all that. Its biggest sin is that it challenged Indiana Jones. That's its biggest sin.
Well, Jim Caviezel is already persona non grata because he's a hardcore Catholic and played Jesus Christ in the Passion of Christ.
Yeah,
so he was also on that rad show, Person of Interest.
Oh, it's a religious BDSM movie. They act like they won't tell you the name of it, but they'll act like, it was just a niche Christian movie. Niche. Yeah, no. People were lined up around the block.
That movie caused a woman to have a heart attack because it was so on point for what happened to Jesus in the Bible. It wasn't pretty. They were literally whipping him with claws, ripping out chunks of flesh on his back. It was not fun. It's not like what you see usually in Hollywood where he's got the crown of thorns and like the stigmata. No, the man had chunks of flesh ripped out of him. It wasn't a BDSM. God, I fucking hate these people. I'm so mad now. Ugh!
Yeah, it's very obvious that They're pissed that this indie film made a lot of money, has kicked their asses, and it's telling the truth. And once this narrative, as this continues to shatter narratives, talking about Southern slavery is no longer going to carry the weight that it once did, because that's been solved.
Yeah, we fought a war over it.
That.
Oh, and Tim Cook has a point. I learned about this last night too. Disney had the movie when they bought Fox, and they shelved it and hid it, and then quietly sold it back to, I think it was the guy that produced it. Didn't think that it was ever going to come out. Boom, the guy used his own money, and got the movie out there. And now Disney's all like, "Oh no, because we're a bunch of pedophiles too."
Well, it's just it pisses me off because, there was a thing. I've harped on this before on your stream, but there was a thing where Native American kids and women were coming up missing, and the FBI moves in, and everybody's like, "Yay, the FBI is going to be investigating what's happening," and then they're like, "Oh, we busted a ring of children illegally downloading Disney music." Away we go. And it's like, well, what about the Native American women and children coming up missing? Oh, LOL, they're probably buried in the backyard.
Oh, no. Yeah, I remember that. I remember they were sending families to like federal prison for years for illegally pirating a Disney movie.
Yeah. And
but
meanwhile,
who gives a shit about all the kids missing, or all the drugs that are being flooded into, schools?
And the I-5 corridor, God forbid they do anything there. I mean, a friend of mine once joked that if the FBI really wanted to do something, they'd stop when they would make the semis pull into the wait stations and look in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at one time there was a semi that wrecked on I-5. This is how blatant they're getting. When they wrecked, it was full of it was just full of big cardboard 55-gallon drums full of fucking meth.
Shit.
They weren't even trying to hide it. It wasn't even labeled. And that's how blatant they are on the I-5 corridor.
Mm-hmm.
But, they don't do anything about it. But, because mainly, I mean, it makes me wonder, the meth is moving like that. The state police in California are helping guard the cartel pot farms. I-5 corridor has long been known as a human trafficking corridor, and they don't do anything. So now they're throwing a big fit over this movie. Is it because, if there's any violence that happens to these people, are these other people going, oh my God, that could have been me being butt stroked in the face?
Well, I think yes. I think that's exactly part of it. And I also would have to say that, again, there are a couple things. One, this will kill the narrative and any impact. If you bring up people are saying, I saw this film. What's happening now is worse than the Holocaust. They're also saying what's happening now.
That.
I know. They're also saying what's happening now was worse than Southern slavery. Suddenly, those two things that are always been used as the dangle out as, oh, you need to feel guilty, will lose its impact. And third, people keep saying this is the kind of movie that makes you want to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know a guy who's at the VFW with us. He was Special Forces, and I tease him about that. And he worked with the FBI for a few years and quit. And he quit because he was stationed in the Pacific Northwest. And girls come up missing. Teenage girls come up missing all the time in the Pacific Northwest. And he mentioned one time when we'd had quite a few shots. So he might have been drunk and pulling my leg. He might have been lying to me. But he said the reason why he quit is because he kept tracking them all to the same fucking place. China.
Oh.
Shit.
In the 90s.
Oh.
And he's like, if anything, it's gotten worse.
Yeah, that really pisses me off. We should focus on. I'm saying this. Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm so fucking angry. I can't get my thoughts together, guys. I apologize.
Okay, it's okay.
Janelle,
I already had a traumatic night before I popped on the show, so
Janelle,
nothing too bad. Yeah.
This is busting this wide open, and if this momentum, this pace keeps up, if the momentum on this keeps going, I think we're going to see some action.
Well, to be perfectly honest and very dark, when I heard about the shipping ship, off the coast of New Jersey that's still on fire, my immediate thought was, like instant knee jerk reaction was, what are they covering up?
Oh God, there's a shipping boat.
There's a freighter.
It's been burning for the last 4 days.
A
Oh,
freighter's on fire off
fuck.
the coast.
Yeah, and whether it's real, that is actually the deal or not. That was my immediate thought. Was like, what are they covering up?
Remember, human trafficking was so well known about that they did that it was in one of the Lethal Weapon movies.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the third or the fourth one?
I don't remember.
The fourth one, yeah.
When the ship ran aground and all the fucking connexes were full of Chinese slave labor.
Yeah, Jet Li was the enforcer for the triad that was shipping them. That was Jet Li's big break into the U.S.
And it was well known at the time that was happening, but now they want to pretend like it doesn't happen, and it's just getting worse.
Well, just also real quick, I'm going to interrupt with a happy note. Today is the 42nd anniversary of Escape from New York. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, let's go back to talking about this shit, though, because I honestly I think it's very important.
You saw the banner, right?
No,
It's Snake.
oh, thank you, Ishi. No, I didn't see it. Kat knows what was. Did you tell him, Kat, or show him the text of what I was dealing
Nope.
with?
Yeah, I mentioned to him.
Okay, yeah. My son and his friends decided to take off, and that's no problem. I don't care about that. But when they were gone for like 20 minutes and we had no fucking clue where they were and they were all supposed to be home, we were like, okay. And of course, this is obviously on the heels of after Steve and I have been reading articles about Sound of Freedom. We were like, yeah. So, and of course, they were fine. What had happened is they were Chris and his friends, he walked one home and then he walked another home and then came back up the street. So he was actually walking his friends home. But Steve and I were in panic mode for like 20 minutes. And you know where they were? They were just fucking out in like the parks and shit, just strolling around. And I know I shouldn't be panicky about that, but the Sound of Freedom shit really like put Steve and I on edge.
It would be a good mom if you weren't worried, you know.
Well, every time you worry about whether or not you're a good parent, just remember that 6-year-olds used to work in the coal mines and smoke pipes.
Yep.
Oh, they used to advertise cigarettes for kids back in the day.
I remember candy cigarettes.
I remember them too. My mom worked for a sundries company, a candy, tobacco, and sundries company. We'd get free samples of candy cigarettes. And I just remember puffing, blowing out the puff of the powdered sugar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing is, you have to remember, the big reason there's this huge backlash is somebody in power is covering up for a relative who is on film snorting coke off of 14-year-old Ukrainian girls' asses.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the video of him like doing the coke wipe all over his face on the balcony of the White House?
Yeah.
It was blatant. It was like you would be smacking somebody in the face with his bag of cocaine. He was so wigged out on coke, you could see it.
Have you noticed they're going to try to throw Kamala under the bus?
Yeah.
Are they?
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
Really? I did not hear about this.
Well, the place where it was located is only accessible to the highest levels and has a very strict group of who could come in. And it's near a lot of places like the vice president's parking spot.
Oh, okay. I'm not a fan of her, but Jesus.
Kamala and her husband and their staffers were in there at one point during the weekend. And it would be hilarious.
She gets what she deserves.
Well, it'd be hilarious if the big anti-drug politician got thrown under the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and also got her case padded while we're at it.
Oh, did you guys hear the other great thing?
What?
According to Biden, we're out of ammo.
Oh, really?
Oh, that comes on the heels of we're debating if we should send more cluster bombs to Ukraine.
We're going to send cluster bombs to Ukraine.
So we're out of ammo because we've given it all to fucking Ukraine, who have sold it to the terrorists. I'm sorry, terrorists in France. Yeah, I was going to say, no, I'm just not going to cover it up.
Well, here's the funny thing. We're not completely out of ammo. We're not the bunkers aren't all dry. What we have hit is we've hit levels that if we dip any further down, it's actually a national security issue. So the Department of Defense refuses to turn over any more ammunition because by regulation they can't. And you all saw that they called out 60 and 70-year-old people to teach people how to build the fucking Stinger missile.
Oh my God. It's
because
just like when
they
that
don't know how to make them anymore.
well, it's just like that pipeline that got shut down during COVID, where they had to bring back people who were 80 years old to show them how to turn it on manually.
Well,
Jesus, our country is such a fucking
the
joke.
hilarious thing is, in the 90s, Clinton revised the amount of stockpiles that we were allowed to have. And he revised it down because we weren't going to, there was no near peer conflict on the horizon, you know. And people like me that were in the organization were like, what about China? Oh, you don't have to worry about China. What about China? China, remember, up until Russia collapsed, there were 3 superpowers. From the 1950s on, there were 3 superpowers: the US, the Soviet Union, and the People's Republic of China. China was allied sometimes with Russia and sometimes with us. But when the Soviet Union fell, they declared we were the sole remaining superpower, and China was like, what about us? Oh, you don't count. You're our ally. You don't count. And we complained, hey, you've got to, you know, we went through a ton of stocks during Desert Storm. A lot of people don't realize how much ammunition a military really uses. Let me give you an example. 1,000,000 5.56 rounds for the M16 sounds like a lot, doesn't it?
No,
A million
it's
rounds
not.
sound,
No.
well, for those of you who think it sounds like a lot, at the time, your average infantry company was about 250 men and 250 men, and your average basic load was 180 rounds. So we'll move it both and say 200 and 200, right? So that's what, 40,000 rounds right there. It's not 4,000, it's 40,000 because you move 2 zeros over. So you've got 40,000 rounds to outfit an infantry company. Now each battalion has 5 companies. So you're looking right there at 5 times 40,000. You're looking at 200,000. Okay. Each brigade has 5 battalions. There's your 1 million. And after brigade, you have regiment, and then you have corps, and then you have division, and then you have army. So think about how many, 1 million rounds is nothing. So, you know, and during Desert Storm, we threw out hundreds of MLRSs an hour. Hundreds of MLRS pods, not rockets, pods an hour. All that had to be replaced, and it wasn't. And then when the global war on terror happened, and for those of you that were alive and working, and some of you were like, well, we're at war. Hey, the economy is going to kick into the wartime economy. They're going to reopen factories. Except that they didn't. They outsourced it all. And they didn't open up the new production lines. They didn't reestablish production lines for stuff that was canceled. So you fought the entire war on terror without upgrading how fast the military production was. As a matter of
There's a
fact,
reason
they shut
why
down
people.
lines. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, there's a reason why people were saying things like, "If you don't make any stuff, there's no stuff."
Yeah. and now they're going, oh, we're out of ammo. Well, no shit, Sherlock. We have no Carl Gustav rounds anymore. We've shipped out people don't realize how much 155 and 8-inch we shipped out. And now they're like, oh, we're out of ammo, so we're going to give them cluster bombs. Well, are you gonna start up the assembly lines for more ammunition? Oh, well, you know, with the Defense Reduction Act and the Budget Reduction Act. Oh, so you're not.
You know, revolutions are only successful when there is a power vacuum and or the military is incredibly weak.
Well, you got to remember the Bradley armored fighting vehicle, the Stryker, and the MRAP. They're not making parts for them anymore.
They're not.
No. As a matter of fact, they haven't made parts for the Bradley in almost 20 years.
Guys, this is the greatest tactic for a takeover ever. Biden is definitely owned by the Chinese. He gets into office, he cuts out the Keystone Pipeline, he starts sowing massive dissension, and then starts giving away all of our ammunition to Ukraine.
Why are we
It's
even going that far?
perfect.
I mean, look at what the business that he's had. I mean, he literally had his son doing international deals for like 5 years.
You saw the video that came out where he admitted that he sold state secrets
Oh yeah,
for
They're
money.
claiming
And
that
did you
was
see the other world leaders look at him in shock? Like,
Well,
holy shit. And he bragged about it.
now he's claiming it was a joke, and we took it
Oh
out
no,
of
that
context.
wasn't a joke. That wasn't a joke. That was his Alzheimer's kicking in, and his handlers weren't paying attention.
Well,
I'm very surprised that the deep state has not enacted Amendment 25 yet to get him the fuck out.
Let me put it this way. The reason China would want us weak is because actually they're not in a good position. They could not wage a war against us. Seriously.
They could.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
yeah, even in the shit condition our military is, and
They just could.
we'd be shelling Beijing within an hour.
The only thing I worry about is they're pretty on par with us when it comes to cyber attack, and that's about it, though.
Could you imagine them trying to physically invade North America, physically invade the U.S.?
No one ever wants to physically invade North America. It's been said by several countries that hate us, we will never invade North America because the friggin' people in the United States would gun us down before we even got off the boat.
And plus, have you ever seen that map? That map put out that's like holy shit, weather and rednecks, and then why am I?
Yeah. The only place that would surrender easily was California.
Yeah,
in New York,
Southern California, and New York. You know, because the Pacific Northwest is why are the trees talking?
You forgot the Bay Area too was also immediate surrender, but like North America was like hiding in the sequoias, guarding their weed farms.
You know, the mountains were labeled, holy shit, are these high and cold, and why is all my vehicles destroyed?
So, buddy, you've joined us to with the stream. What's going on, man?
Not much. You know, I've been listening to you guys talk about was it The Sound of Freedom, right?
Yeah, we were, yeah. But you know, I'm going to change the subject for a minute because I have to do some shilling. Boobs of Steel, now available. Went live today.
Yeah, I'm so excited and happy about this for you.
I have to take the time because it just went live today. We got to get those numbers up. I mean, right now it's sitting, I think, at 20, in the top 20 for pop culture.
Very nice.
But
congratulations, man.
Very nice.
Anyway, first book's out, more on the way.
Hey, just remember, like, please don't forget about us when you become big and famous.
Yes.
Well,
yeah, don't forget about us. Still hang out with us.
Yes.
But RALT'S is the famous one.
I am not.
RALT'S, you're
just
famous.
I'm just an idiot who I'm just an idiot. I am just your average high school dropout idiot.
Obviously, you're not, because your books are bestsellers and you're kicking ass.
Yeah.
Give yourself some credit, man.
I can't, or I'll run around in circles screaming. Oh, man.
Oh, I love that's one of my favorite promo pictures from the old Wonder Woman show.
That woman was so ridiculously gorgeous.
Oh, God. Linda Carter.
Did you hear that? Oh God, Gal Gadot got called genocide Barbie by a woman who showed everybody her butthole on the internet.
What?
I'm sorry.
Really?
What?
Mia.
I'm guessing some porn star or something.
Mia something or other. She's something.
Mia Khalifa.
Yeah, called Gal Gadot genocide Barbie over Gal Gadot's comments about the Israel-Palestine situation. And everybody's like, why would I listen to political advice from someone who I've seen their butthole?
Oh my God. Yeah, okay. So the porn star is calling out Gal Gadot, who served in the IDF for 2 years.
Well, I'm sorry. I think we need to go back to publicly ridiculing people. I mean.
Oh, absolutely.
I think, if I fuck up and do some fucked up half-wit shit, please point it out. I mean, okay. Kat, Ishi, Janelle, all of you, the next time I say, hey, there's a thunderstorm outside, I'm going to take the dogs out. What are you going to say?
Put on a fucking rubber suit and get in your basement and don't get out till the storm is past.
Because I have really bad luck with this.
I seriously want to buy you a rubber suit that your wife can put you into and put you in a safe room.
That sounds like a sexual act.
Yeah,
no,
that sounds
not
a little,
that kind of rubber suit.
That sounds a little too kinky. I mean.
Well, maybe you guys could have some fun while the storm's going on. I don't know.
That's just asking for it.
Oh, yeah. He could be like that guy who showed us a couple of weeks ago, the dude who broke his wife out of the hospital or whatever.
Yeah, that dude that broke his wife out of the hospital.
That is, I still have that article saved on my phone. If I need something fun to look at, I look at that guy's happy face.
Yeah.
Meth fuel party.
This is
That is a
the
man
face
with-
of a man who had no regrets.
Oh God, I think I shorted out Undead. What she's saying. She
What?
says that she's smelling toast. She can't even type now. Look what you did to me.
The last thing I need is a rubber suit. I can't get enough shit. But I mean, we need to be able to. We need to be able to make fun of people again because I mean, you need to be able to look at somebody. It should be publicly acceptable to look at somebody and say, "You are the dumbest motherfucker I've seen today." For example, I saw a woman putting gas in a milk jug with a cigarette in her mouth.
Oh,
Have you seen that
I just
video
backed out and drove away
of the lady
No.
who tries to get gas and she
With the
keeps
Tesla.
going to the wrong side?
I thought it was the one with the Tesla.
Oh
I've
my
seen that one
God!
too.
Wait, somebody bought a Tesla and then went to the fucking gas station. Oh my God!
They're like, it's saying low. It's saying it's low, but I can't find the gas pump. It's like, love, it's an electric vehicle.
How?
Oh God, that reminds me of this. This was in San Diego several years ago. Dude had, what is it, a big GM, and he was talking on his phone while he's gassing up, and he goes, "Yeah, I got this brand new truck, and it's
Oh, that.
and it's got that corn logo on it, but I'm not saving any money. I mean, where's the corn supposed to go?"
No, it was he's at the gas station. Yeah, I got one of them flex fuel corn vehicles, and it hasn't saved me a bit of money on my gas. It still costs the same to fill her up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, and I saw that woman, and instead of yelling at her, which I should have, I just backed out and went to a different gas station because, why? And this wasn't some redneck. This wasn't some woman out there that looks like she belongs in the hills of Appalachia strumming a banjo. She was dressed like she was going to a high-powered board meeting, and and this was not a cheap car. This was a fucking Mercedes Benz. And I'm thinking, why are you putting gas? You're wearing enough jewelry to pay off my houses. Why are you putting gas in a milk carton, in a milk jug? And why are you smoking while you're doing it? And it just dawned on me that I probably wouldn't understand if she told me. So I've been watching the scanner to see if there's a Mercedes Benz on fire somewhere.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Is she going to be committing insurance fraud?
I
That'd
was
be
gonna
pretty
say maybe
awesome.
she forgot to take her Adderall.
I don't know. I see people doing stupid shit all the time. Watching a person who should know better toss a knife up in the air and try to catch it with their teeth.
What?
It's like, yeah, you're going to. I'm just gonna dial 911 and wait.
Yeah.
I only had to wait about 5 minutes before I got to hit the one. And it's like, yeah, because it came down and hit him in the forehead. It's like, well, people wonder why women live longer. I don't know. I don't know. I'm too busy balancing this axe on my nose.
What do you mean? I just went outside and played with real swords with my friends.
Yeah. Me and my friend fought a lightsaber duel with real swords. Now, can you finish tying off this wound so I can go back outside?
The best one is, when you have them wrapped in rags and set on fire.
Yeah. Like that.
My friends and I used to throw knives at trees because it was fun.
Oh, I was about to say, we threw knives at each other, my cousins and I,
That game where you throw knives at each other's feet and get as close as you can.
Yeah.
And
Shurikens, man.
I used to have footage of a friend of mine in high school sitting on a couch in our other friend's bedroom, and his bedroom was huge. By the way, his bedroom was like, you've seen my house. His bedroom was twice the size of my living room.
Damn.
Yeah, he had a huge bedroom, and our friend Jeff was sitting on the couch on one end of the room, and Andrew, whose house it was on the other end, throwing knives at him.
Why the hell not?
Yeah.
And like, no, I'll hit the couch. And it's like, well, to Andrew's credit, because he did do martial arts, he did not hit our friend. But
I do martial arts, and I would totally kill someone if I threw a knife. Jeez.
Okay,
That's
I wanted
random.
to share this one graphic from the layout I was doing today,
Oh God, I hate that one on the right. Oh,
I'm on
showing
the back
such
for
an insult.
before and after wokeness.
What is it?
It's
Well,
John Burns She-Hulk when she was hot.
versus
Oh God, that's right. I forgot Mariko
Tamaki.
Tamiki was the one that
Yeah.
turned her into the steroid queen.
Yeah.
Hate
Well,
that bitch.
she became this weird, incongruous monster.
Yeah.
And she also started dating Thor, and Thor was the bottom. Not joking.
yeah.
The Thor
Why would
became her little
Thor-
bitch. Oh yeah.
Like,
it
I
was-
get he's not worthy, but you're not that unworthy.
I mean, my wife liked the big muscle bound female Hulk because, she was a big muscle bound girl, but she disliked when they turned her into a monster.
Well,
Well, it
I
was
just
the
hated
book
their
that did
reasoning.
that.
well,
Oh,
the
wasn't it
original
brain damage from Civil War II? That's why she turned out into roided Hulk, because she
Well,
had brain damage.
that was
so
the
now she was
comic
really
reasoning.
angry.
The meta reasoning was that, like, basically she was the male gaze, and they didn't want guys to look at her.
I know lesbians, and I've known quite a few. I still know a couple, and they hate this making every woman ugly. What's funny is they also hate that no matter what you're watching, instant lesbian. They were. I know a woman who was going off the other day about this. You literally cannot watch a show with two women who are friends anymore
Yep.
because inevitably they become lesbians. And she was
Could
like,
you
"What's wrong
imagine
with
the
women
show
being
Friends
friends?"
today?
Oh God, yeah,
Yeah, everybody would be gay by
Yeah.
the end.
by
Everybody'd be
season
black.
2.
yeah, black
Yeah.
lesbians, fat black lesbians with disorders.
Yeah,
That's
And
the future of entertainment.
as somebody who's disabled, physically disabled, I hate Disability Pride Month because as part of our identity, no, it's not part of my identity. It's literally not. It's something that I dislike, and if you came up with a way to fix it, I would gladly take it. I hate this whole thing of, if you're disabled, that should be part of your identity. Go fuck yourself, because I used to be able to run fucking 20 miles straight and fucking climb up a cliff, and now I can't. I'd love to have my fucking body running back at primo instead of, what's left. But, disability pride, be proud of your disabilities. No, I'm not proud of my disabilities. I'm proud of the fact that I've managed to overcome a lot of them. And I hate Disability Pride Month because, sorry, it got on my nerves this week with all this. Oh, take pride in your disability. Fuck you.
Okay.
I think the majority of people who have disabilities would probably, if they had a chance, turn the clock back and not have them. So yeah,
I feel like we all
understand
need.
we should accept it. It sucks that people have disabilities, but why are you fucking celebrating it? It's not fun for people at all.
Okay, I'm gonna bring us back to She-Hulk here.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's pretty.
This is John Burns' She-Hulk.
Hey, I recognize that pose from a cover.
Yes, this is John Burns' She-Hulk. That's Corey Everson. Miss Olympia 8 times over. So no, She-Hulk had a realistic body. It's this one.
Yeah, I follow several Muscle Girl accounts on Twitter, and some of them I actually interact with.
God, I am jealous of those biceps.
There was a couple women that when She-Hulk, when they were talking about, oh, we're going to cast somebody for She-Hulk, some of these muscle women actually sent in their photos, and these are legitimately women who could play She-Hulk. One's like 6'6", and she has spent over a decade sculpting her body so that it doesn't look freakish. She follows. Oh God, it's one of the older guys that he used to have advertisements in the back of comic books, but he's the one that came up with the perfectly proportioned human body sizes for aesthetically pleasing. She follows him, so her body is perfectly proportioned. She's got massive biceps. She's and you just paint her green, and she literally looks like She-Hulk.
What's her name?
I can't remember. She's on Twitter. She's really hot too. she actually put hers in, and and they never got back to her, and instead they just did really poor CGI.
That's being generous.
Honestly, I think it should have been Gina Carano. She would have been the best She-Hulk, in my opinion. She has the body for it and everything, but of course Disney wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole.
And why not take somebody who all you had to do was make them green. And they won't, because here's the problem that this woman has. She has double D's. Sculpting her body, she managed to keep her double D's. But God forbid that, because that's male gaze.
They wanted. It's like the Phoebe Waller-Bridge thing. They have these people that they believe are bigger celebrities than they really are, and they just sort of grab them out of the aether and say, "You're supposed to love them," and we're like, "No."
I mentioned I took a few courses at SOU, and which is a big feeder college for Hollywood. And there, the first year I was there, we learned about the male gaze, and the male gaze is actually it's a cinematography thing. It's not books and cheesecake, and it's when they crawl from the woman's ankle up her legs, and then linger on her ass or crotch, and then move up her body slowly, and then linger on her breast, and then just move up to her face, and then quickly pan away. That's the male gaze. But it's been perverted into anything a male might find attractive.
So it is cinema photographic
creepy thing,
sort of analog to a guy ogling a woman from the feet up.
Yes, and they've changed it to the male gaze is anything. By my fourth year, it was the male gaze is anything a male looks at. And it's like, why do that? Why
Because women need something to bitch about.
I have something I can bitch about. I just am fucking tired of them making women look gross. That's a woman bitching about
you even
something.
have really beautiful women saying that now. Like Gal Gadot recently came out and said, "I'm really tired of it." She's like, "I'm tired of either the woman being, she has to have manly traits to be strong, or she's unattractive."
I wrote a whole book about it.
Yep.
I think it's called Boobs or something.
Yeah.
No. You wrote a book that's so huge, you have to chop it up into 4s.
4 parts, yeah.
Did you touch on how they tried to butcher Red Sonja?
So those boobs were so big.
Yeah.
Yes. Because remember when they made Red Sonja look like a crack addict?
Yes. And they put her in a full suit of armor, but she looked like a beggar.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when she was on the cover, she had no breasts and a heart surgery scar.
Yeah.
That was funny when they forgot to edit out the heart surgery scar. And they've completely forgotten Red Sonja's thing was that, she couldn't lay with a man unless he beat her in battle.
Yeah, I was about to say, unless he beat him.
Yeah.
And it was a goddess who gave her those powers.
Yeah.
And
they
Conan,
completely
I think,
abandoned
was the only
that.
one to do it, right?
They've never answered that question.
So
in the comics, they've never answered it.
I didn't realize
Michael
Wonder
Oeming
Woman
did.
was a goddess.
Michael Oeming did a great run with her where she was defeated in battle by a demigod.
Wasn't it Baldar?
Yeah, it was.
Baldar defeated her in battle. She's like, okay.
And the thing is he didn't ask for it. She offered herself willingly, unbidden. And it's just, wow, that was an awesome moment. And then she goes into battle the next day and she goes, "Yes, I have twice been blessed by the gods."
As a matter of fact, there's still some on my breasts.
Yeah.
And a little bit on my ass.
Well, was it also the same company that had the rights to Red Sonja at the same time also took Vampirella out of her sexy vampire outfit and put her in she was wearing a suit.
Yeah.
And it was weird.
Well, Vampirella.
Dynamite did it.
I could see Vampirella in a suit for a little while till she got tired of wearing the suit and put back on a thong, which she just then pulls the sides up over her shoulders instead of around her waist.
Well, the other irony being is that Vampirella the model for Vampirella was feminist Trina Robbins.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, that's like now of all the people to get pushed back, Oh God, I just futzed on her name. Queen of Nighttime Movies.
Oh, Elvira. Or
Elvira.
who was the chick before Elvira?
Yeah, they're
You were
pushing
saying-
on Elvira
Oh,
now.
nice.
They're pushing on Elvira now. And even though
Well, you know what? She deserves it for siding with the woke people.
Mhm.
Oh, she did?
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. Tough shit.
Oh,
Yep, we sold all of her shit when she started doing that.
You know,
She didn't mind
unbelievable.
losing those fans, so we said bye.
I had the Playboy that she showed everything, and she was red upstairs and red downstairs.
Yep.
I don't have any more. I wish I did.
I remember
Okay.
my dad was really happy when that Playboy came out because he said the curtains matched the carpet.
Yes, they did. The curtains matched the drapes.
He's like, she is a definite redhead.
But you know, have you seen some of the? Oh, did you guys hear about what came out of? I can't remember which company it was, but it came out of one of the major video game companies. It's not that they can't make sexy women. A lot of times when they're doing it, when they're building the game in house, they make the women sexy. But then they just put in the ugly women because they can.
Well, you've seen the backlash that's going on with the Fable reboot, right? And the ugly woman that you're supposed to play as. They
The
showed the
goofy-looking
picture.
one.
Yeah, they showed the picture of her actual model, who is adorably cute. She has short curly hair and everything. I'm like, how did you take this adorable looking girl and turn her into that fucking abomination? It's the same thing they did with Mass Effect Andromeda. Have you
Yeah.
seen the model for Sarah
Oh, yeah.
Ryder?
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
beautiful.
One of the funny thing is, if you get the patch off of Nexus to because they changed. What they did was they did the modeling for the model of all the characters and the facial rigs in one engine, and then they switched to the Frostbite engine. And they didn't remap it. If you get the fixes on the Nexus, they look good.
Ooh. So she
But-
actually looks like her real model.
Yeah, and she looks like an actual human being.
Not with the
I mean-
googly eyes.
God, that was terrible.
Well, I think it's going to be in book 3. I don't know yet. One of the Boobs of Steel books will be almost entirely about video games, and I go over specifically that and how it started with Anita Sarkeesian going in-house to various companies and showing them how to correct things. And then they started doing quota hires, and that only made it worse. And it's all by design. These people fucking suck.
She blocked
I
me.
thought it was great that Neil Druckmann thought he could get her into bed by doing
Yeah.
The Last of Us 2 exactly how she wanted, and she didn't even give him the time of day.
Why
And
would
everybody
you
hates
want-
that game.
Why would you want to get in bed with that woman? She probably smells like patchouli and cat shit.
Probably because it probably reminded Druckmann of his mom.
Probably.
I don't know. You know, it's well, you got to remember, 30 years ago, when Hunchback of Notre Dame came out, the actress who was the body model for Esmeralda took one look at what they were drawing and said, "That's not how real women look." And so she then put on the Esmeralda outfit and danced for them. And that's how we got Esmeralda in the Hunchback of Notre Dame, because what they were drawing was was a 12, according to her, they were drawing a 12-year-old boy. We have gone from that, from a big time star saying, "No, women don't look like that," and this is how an attractive Eastern European woman looks, to, "Oh my God, what is wrong with her face?" I mean, I can't even watch movies nowadays. I mean, half the time, because there's some of these actresses are in the uncanny valley.
Well, that was
Oh,
me too.
yeah.
Me too did that.
It's like, what was wrong with your human face?
Well, I will say basically what happened is, first, something like 50% of the producers in Hollywood are feminists. They're all boomer feminists.
Ugh.
And then Me Too happened, and they got even more power. That's it.
And I'll say one thing. I've been rewatching Supernatural with Undead, and every time that redheaded dick's
Undead
dumbass
just
comes
said it
on,
at the same time, Ralts.
every time she comes on, me and
Felicia
her,
Day.
yes, are like, "Oh God, she ruins the whole episode. She looks like an alien."
Well, not only does she ruin the episode, she's wearing the fucking Lion Cat t-shirt from the most progressive SJW virtue signaling piece of shit comic to ever come out, Saga.
Oh, it even gets worse as the series goes on. And what's funny is, before you accuse me of not liking redheads, I would bend Rowena over and fuck her till magic popped out her fucking head. Okay, Rowena is fucking hot as shit, even when she's evil.
Okay, so what about Felicia Day? What's she doing now?
Felicia Day
She
was
was
on
in
Supernatural.
Supernatural for a while.
And
Oh,
she
She's like a
really,
hacker.
she was in Supernatural. She was first this hacker, and oh, you're so special that our ability to take other humans' abilities, we can't replicate that. So you're gonna have to work for us to. Oh, she's the super special friend of the Winchesters, and then oh, actually, she gets to go to Oz, and because she's the chosen one for Oz. And me and Dad laughed our asses off on the scene where they opened the shower curtain and she's slaughtered in the bathtub. We couldn't stop laughing. And of course, they bring her back for the dimensional crossover thing, and now she's even more insufferable. And of course, she's quirky and gay, which is funny considering the real Felicia Day is married to a geriatric mummy. And it's just, oh my god, she is so fucking insufferable.
doesn't this look like a face you just want to take a bat to?
Yeah.
One of the worst things that came out of Dragon Age 2 was the DLC they made just for her, where you play, I think the character's name
I
is
didn't do that.
Hannes
I didn't
or
even like
something.
Dragon Age 2, honestly.
Oh, I actually liked Dragon Age 2 up until that DLC, and then I was like, well, I want the fucking armor, but okay.
Well, they changed the fucking story in between alpha test and beta test.
Oh, what was
They
the
changed the
original
whole fucking
story?
thing. I don't remember anymore.
Oh.
It's been what, 30 fucking years. Who gives a fuck? I mean,
The
it was
only-
just they changed the combat, they changed the way everybody looked because the alpha testers. You want to know why they changed it? Because the alpha tester said, "Cool, it's just like a sequel to the first one."
And Dragon Age Origins was fucking amazing.
I love DA, and the modding community made it even better.
Oh yes.
The best character to ever come out of Dragon Age Origins, actually 2 of them, was Sten, and the DLC for the golem, Shale,
Yes.
who would go out, she would stop whatever you were doing in battle and kill a fucking chicken because she hated birds because they shit on her.
The funny thing is that Star Wars thing where they had a literal rock as a force user. They should have went with a golem. They should have went with a stone golem. But no, that's too much effort.
Like that had the coolest conclusions for the characters in DAO. Like where you find out about the hammer and shale and how the golems were made.
Oh, that was so sad when you find out how golems were made.
Have you guys seen the thing for Baldur's Gate 3, what they're giving us? They're giving us a white-haired elven twink who gets fucked by a bear.
Oh god, that.
Jesus, what happened to BioWare?
They're like, oh, but it's actually
well, that's not BioWare. That's Larian.
They're like, it's actually a druid in their wild shape. Fuck you.
Wait, I thought Baldur's Gate was originally done by BioWare.
They lost the license to it.
Oh, okay.
And when D&D started passing out saying, who wants this? Larian had just come out with Divinity Origin 2, which was really well received.
Baldur's Gate is from the 80s.
So, yeah, I know that. But I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 is, they had lost the, from D&D, they had lost the license.
And they're surprised at the backlash that everybody's like, I don't want this perverted shit. And the whole thing of the squirrel dropping the nut, that's some Family Guy tier shit. Get this out of here. Everybody knows that whoever's fucking the druid in your game is also fucking them when they're in beast form. Everybody knows it. You just don't talk about it. It's like the bard. You don't talk about how every village you go through when you come back 6 years later, there's a lot of kids that look very much like the bard. You don't talk about it.
All right, everyone.
Oh my god.
You found it, didn't you?
Because we can't have sexy women. But this is all right.
Are people? Oh, this is live reaction.
Thanks, millennials.
Yeah.
This is on you.
Well, yeah, they had a panel of streamers and cosplayers and stuff.
Oh, that is so gross. That is so unbelievably gross.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh
and we're supposed to see. Look,
I gotta be honest.
Wait. Baldur's
the
Gate
game
3
looks awesome.
Tender consensual sex with a bear.
Look,
honey pot.
if somebody wants to do that, good for them. I don't. I like the hot emo chick, Shadowheart. So.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
I mean, you know, you look at that and you're like, oh God. And to think they threw a huge fit. They threw an absolute mongoloid fit over the fact that Dragon's Age Origin and other games have had it where it fades to black. When you go to the, they threw a huge. Remember when they threw a huge fit over hot coffee?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, God. That was like
That was
one of
Hillary
the.
Clinton.
Yep.
Hillary Clinton led that charge.
Hot coffee wasn't even that great to watch anyway.
No, it wasn't.
It was so pixelated.
It was like I was in high school and it was funny.
So we can't have big tits, but bear fucking's fine.
Well, it's because all the sickos are in charge of all this shit. So of
I was
course
about to
their
say.
wildest fantasies are now coming to fruition in movies, music, shows, games, comics. I mean, we're watching all the depravity just flow out because they've been given carte blanche to do whatever they want in pop culture.
I saw a figure that was very interesting a few weeks ago. I was talking about it in one of your voice channels, Ishi, with Aloise and Wolf and all those guys, and it was of the say like computer developers, software developers, programmers, and stuff. What group do you think comprises 28 to 35% of them?
Oh,
What
out of
was out of what?
But of anything you can think of, kinks, hobbies, whatever.
No clue. No clue.
Furries.
Oh,
no.
So when you consider that a third of them are programmers and developers, is that really so far out of bounds?
I guess not.
There's a reason that like furry porn sells in half a second.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know several artists that are like, well, I'd never draw furry porn, and then the rent comes due, and I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, I'm paying my rent. It's like, how? And she was like, I was offered $600 to draw somebody's persona having sex with a dragon. I was like, oh, how long did it take you? 2 weeks. Well, $600 in 2 weeks. That's not bad.
double checking.
You're not gonna judge me? Nope, you're paying the rent. Furries with a suspiciously what is it? Furries with a suspiciously large amount of money.
I knew this one guy who played a persona called Silvermane, which was a girl, and he would draw furry porn for people on Facebook. He made about $35,000 a month.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Oh, God, I knew a guy that was a furry, but he was a cow, and his persona was Moo Cow. And then he started transitioning into a woman. Oh. And this guy was at Comic-Con all the time and wearing the fucking cow ears. But it's a dude, and he's actually got tits from the hormones. Ugh.
I mean, if you think about it, and you really kind of wonder where all these people came into all the hobbies. I mean, they had to have money and resources, right?
Well, I'll tell you how they got into the hobby. It's called the geek fallacy. And it's, we don't want to reject people because we were rejected by everybody else. Yeah. And instead of telling these people, see, I noticed it in other groups. I kind of policed my group. I noticed it in other groups that they would not throw out these people who were, frankly, just shitty people. I mean, really shitty. And people that I wouldn't want to be around. And it'd be like, well, he's part of our group. And it'd be like, why? Well, we don't want to reject him. And it's, we don't want to reject him because we know what it feels like to be rejected. It's like, holy fuck. And so they got in there. And then the funniest thing was kink shaming became a bannable offense on a lot of forums back in the mid-aughts. If the guy's talking about how he totally wants to fuck a squirrel, you can't tell him, dude, you're fucked up, seek help. No, that's kink shaming. And then eventually they slowly pushed everybody out. It's like that meme. Why, You do not belong here. Oh, so we'll make our own space. Why are you excluding us? Well, we'll let you in. You do not belong here.
Yeah,
So
it's a repeating cycle.
Yeah, it should be. Why are you? You do not belong here. Fine, we'll make our own space. Why are you excluding us? Fuck off. Get the flamethrower.
You know, we were all too accepting to let people into our communities.
Yep.
We should have kicked those fuckers out from day one. The day they came in and said bazinga, we should have taken bats to all of them.
Well,
and gatekeeping protects your hobby from those who want to change into what they think it should be.
Yeah. Every fucking Big Bang Theory fan and fucking feminists who came through the door should have just been booted in the ass.
No, I'm gonna
sadly,
say right now, female Doctor Who fans under the age of 30.
Super Who, and I'll tell you the big one, Super Wholock. They needed to go. And Omega-verse weirdos. They needed to go.
Sadly, in the group that I hung out with, it turned out everybody was actually just leftists and freaks.
Yeah.
So, and these were people that, I played D&D with, hung out with, played video games with, and they were already part of the problem. They were already there.
And it was just, we didn't tell them to shut the fuck up.
You know when I started to realize leftists in D&D? About the time the big argument came out about 3.5 and Pathfinder was made.
I remember my big notification was I had written some stuff for a major book for 3.0. And some of what I wrote was, all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is sexist. It's like, no, it's not. It's like, well, I think it's sexist. And they tried to get my stuff pulled out of the book, and it didn't go anywhere because it was only 4 weirdos on one forum board. But their whole objection to it was I had created a feat called Armor of None. And it was basically a monk feat that the higher charisma you had, you added your charisma score to your armor class, your charisma bonus to your armor class.
Yeah, they had a bunch of those.
Yeah, for being unclad, for being naked. Yeah, well, I was one of the first people to do a supplement for.
Damn,
I think mine was the third
one. Lizard, I'd want to try that.
Yeah, I was one of the people who I put out the first magic. I put out the first magic compendium.
What was that one that came out, like Book of the Righteous or something? It had something similar to those where like charisma would add all kinds of crap.
But see, mine was problematic because it said, it was usually used by Dancers of the Scarves, and it was also Dancers of the Scarves, which I based off of Chinese and Arabic silk dancers, belly dancers, where they could literally turn the silk swaths into spears or swords or shields. And charisma was your main base because they were attractive. They were often kept by bodyguards by the rich and wealthy. And people started bitching at me that, oh, that's just sexist. And I was like, it's got historical basis. I just added magic.
I got to respond to Bar 1 here, but
what? Go ahead.
Bar says, sorry, Ishii, kinky, weird creepos started these spaces. Remember the Breendoggle? I cover this in book 3. In book 3 of Boobs of Steel, I address the sci-fi community, and I point out that no, it didn't start that way. Asimov was the one that him and his Futurians invaded the very first sci-fi con and tried to force in all their weird shit. So no, they invaded, and once again, the sci-fi community was too nice and was accepting, and those fuckers took over even back then.
As far as weirdness in D&D goes, I was involved in the community starting about 1978, 1979. And the weirdness didn't really start becoming public. There was always a little bit, but it didn't really start until I'd say about the 2000s with 3.0. There was, there was some stuff, but it was not, they did not start it. They did not start the tabletop RPG culture.
I want to sing We Didn't Start the Fire.
Yeah. But they sure as fuck tried to invade it, and we'd push them back out. Because, you didn't put up with that shit because you never played with a DM or a player who used the group as their dating pool. You never did that, and if you did, you were stupid. Were there groups that did it? Well, yes, you have a small contingent in every group. But I've heard people, oh, we were always here. No, you weren't. I remember.
I think it's unfortunately like an insect infestation. By the time you realize it, it's too late.
You know, because the big pushback against sexy stuff came from the side that now claims that there was always kink and we were always here. Really, because you are the exact same names. I can look, you know, a lot of these people that are the big pushers that are big in the industry. If N-World hadn't have suffered the database crash, which was kind of suspicious, if they hadn't have suffered the database crash, and I can go back to the early 2000s, the very people that are saying, "Oh, kink has always been in D&D," were leading the charge to get rid of any type, anything regarding women, because the third edition is where the they-them bullshit started. Oh, you need, because a lot of us, when we wrote our books, we added in female characters, and we had like, oh, if the take for example this paladin, she is, you know, we changed it up because why not? And all of a sudden we hear, no, you can't just add women. You, about 2003, it was you have to add, or 2002, you have to add they them, so
Really?
that it's not. So it's, oh yeah, oh, it was huge in the third party publishing community. Oh, you need to add they them. You need to use they them
I
instead of he or
remember
she.
seeing the first sort of caricatured representation in 3.0, like in the player's handbook and the dungeon masters, where they had the very particular characters that you were supposed to follow
Oh,
their story or
the
something.
iconics. Those were the iconics. That was different. The iconics, actually, that was a recommendation: is you keep iconics with your product, so that the readers have a touchstone that, okay, this person, you know,
A
basically
mascot, basically.
yeah, basically a mascot. And the they them came about, and the same people that were pushing that then are now claiming, oh, kink has always been in D&D. Really? Because I recall you leading the one of the people leading the charge against Anthony Valterra's book of erotic fantasy. Oh, well, that book's just disgusting. Have you ever read it? Well, no, I wouldn't read such filth. Anthony Valterra's book
Wasn't
of
that
erotic
the
fantasy.
one that had the spells that like made people's clothes explode often?
Like
automatic orgasms and junk like that.
It had some of that stuff.
Conservative.
What?
Gary Gygax was very conservative.
Yep. Anthony Valterra's stuff was interesting. I mean, he sent me one for free. I mean, I met him a couple times in Seattle. You know, had drinks with him and his wives. He was pretty cool.
Okay, I just looked up Omegaverse. I'd never heard of that before. What the fuck?
My poor summer child.
What the fuck is? Yeah.
I'll let you
Omegaverse is also known as ABO, an abbreviation for Alpha, Beta, Omega, is a subgenre of speculative erotic fiction and originally a subgenre of erotic / fan fiction. Its premise is that a dominance hierarchy exists in humans, which are divided into dominant alphas, neutral betas, and submissive omegas. And it looks like it's just yaoi porn.
There's a lot of mpreg in Omegaverse.
Oh, yucky!
How is this not gore?
I am glad I was not aware of this.
Unfortunately, I was.
Gore people that get pregnant.
Oh yeah.
No, that's so gross.
mpreg was male pregnancy and butt babies. There you go.
I thought.
Yeah, I remember the book of erotic fantasy because we had, or I had some as a DM. I had characters that would just bring it in as a splat book, and they'd be like. And basically, like the ultimate orgasm thing was just a way to paralyze somebody.
Yeah. It was interesting. I had the hardback version. I had somebody play when she played a Kandala, and she played a refugee from an evil sex cult, and it was a lot of fun because everybody had to have a villain. Everybody had to have somebody chasing them, somebody that hated them.
There was like a tantric witch in that one.
Yes.
That like used her orgasms to power her spells.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty good, and you know, but the thing is he didn't start that. They had the book of fantasy, well, the book of D&D sex. That was a web book for years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that book caused such a huge thing that Wizards changed the standards and practices.
Well, I mean, splat books for D&D were almost like the hacker books from the 90s.
Hey guys, I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, I wrote quite a few of them. That's like I got in an argument with somebody online, and I was like, "Well, you showed your shelf up there that those are the books you were playing with. I hate to inform you of this, but you're playing with my homebrew rules." No, I'm playing with raw rules as written. I'm like, no. Do you use that book? He's like, well, yeah, it has a lot of spells that I like. I'm like, I wrote that. Me. I wrote that. That's mine. And you are playing with my homebrew spells. So they block me.
Oh, jeez.
I was even like, thank you for buying the hardback. Sorry.
William Sova says, "Hey Ralts, have you ever heard of Adventure Conqueror King System, or AXE for short?"
No, I haven't. It sounds interesting.
Sounds
But yeah,
You heard of lesbian sword fights?
Oh God, that's a real thing.
Lesbian sword
what do they
fighter.
do?
Oh,
Like
God.
put on
Lesbian sword
strap-ons and
maidens, or
twirl
was it?
around?
It's
No,
an
sexy.
entire RPG based around shipping, which includes having the abilities to basically
Command someone to be with you?
other people and NPCs, because if it's a woman doing it, it's not rape.
No,
Okay.
God, I hate that.
The fact is the fact that it's all based around lesbian sword fights, and that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Just sounds amazingly phallic to me. I picture strap-ons with two women just hitting each other.
That's what I said. Did they just have strap-ons and twirl around?
Yeah.
It's a hula hoop with a strap-on. Let's go.
Yeah, lesbian sword
That's a
maidens.
good
I
idea.
can't remember what it was. What's sad is I've heard the mechanics are pretty solid, but then I've heard other people say the mechanics are shit. So I guess it's all up in the air. That's one of the reasons I got out of RPG design, is because people are fucking. And I love it. People are like, "Oh, I only use raw," and they show
I
a picture of
remember
their collection,
when
and there's my book.
D&D 4 was coming out, and everybody was like,
Yeah.
"This is going to be the greatest thing ever," because it had two developers that everybody kind of trusted, and it was absolute crap.
Well, I remember they were like, "Oh, this isn't your parents' basement game." I was like, I actually objected to that. I actually talked to my contacts in Wizards and was like, "So what's with the advertising program calling everybody who bought 3.0 and 3.5 a bunch of basement-dwelling neckbeards?" "Well, we're trying to attract a new audience." I said, "Well, you're losing us, dude. We're not interested in 4E."
What game put D&D 4 like half the freaking budget and just made it look like crap? Freaking HeroScape.
Oh. D&D 4 I didn't get into because it was too much like it belonged on a chessboard.
Yeah, they said they based it basically on WoW. Like they were reading a lot of the gamification of particular strategy, and they wanted to turn it like into a video game, literally. They talked about all the beginning parts of how you get in there and you do something cool immediately.
Yeah, and you can keep doing something cool the whole time.
Yeah, so you had that like unlimited abilities, and then like hourly abilities and dailies and all that crap.
And I was like, "Hey, thanks for stealing Healing Surge from me." "Well, you wrote third-party products, and by that OGL, we can take whatever we want." I said, "Yeah, but you're claiming that you in particularly came up with it. I came up with it. You thought it was cool." "Well, I guess we just can't talk about it." "For fuck's sake, man, just tell me personally that you borrowed it from me." No. Yeah, that's another reason I got out, was 4E. 4E burned a lot of bridges. And now you have 5E, which is all sparkly princess stuff. Can you guys imagine you guys just bouncing through, throwing spells everywhere, and, all the glitter and all the happiness, and demons aren't necessarily evil. You have to stop and ask each one if they're evil.
Oh, God, I hate that.
I'm just trying to imagine trying to, lug around at some handy capable person in a magic wheelchair.
What's funny is if you look at the magical wheelchairs, they completely break the game. They're very cheap for a magic item, and they're all indestructible and can levitate.
You know what a magical wheelchair is? Somebody who bolted a chair to a tensor's floating desk.
Yep.
Yay, there we go.
But yeah, they're complete game breakers.
I just know I couldn't resist when we were at the gaming store, and I actually saw the figures. I had to buy them because it was just too stupid. And I've been I've disassembled and now reassembling the garage so I can have my fucking workspace back. And I've rediscovered these because I had them shoved in some strange place. And I'm looking at the wheelchair. It's a fucking throne.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, it's not just a throne. It's like a throne mixed with like a sadistic dentist chair.
Yeah.
It's just, who the fuck came up with this shit?
And remember, they levitate upstairs and downstairs. And they levitate over pits and rough ground.
That's fucking retarded.
I can just picture some lich is almost done with his dungeon and goes, "Oh shit, I forgot to put in the wheelchair ramps." Well, I'll tell you guys straight up, you're playing with me. If you ever discover a place that has all ramps and no stairs, you're looking at levitating creatures. Or creatures with no legs, and you're in a shit ton of trouble.
Everything would fly.
Because the most common ones that use ramps are illithid. And illithid are bad news.
Either that or just everything, like you just run into a den of displacer beasts. They don't need anything.
No. I did like those with the D&D movie, the way they were portrayed. That was pretty cool.
That was neat. I did like that. I liked that movie.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. I still really want to watch it with you guys.
Same.
I think that movie is good.
We should watch it on Wednesday.
Genuinely funny.
We should watch on Wednesday. I'll host it in my Discord channel for you guys.
I can't watch it on Wednesday. My son's having his friends over to spend the night. Can you imagine? Teenage boys screaming and gaming, and me trying to watch D&D. I'll see if I can work it out. You know what? Keep it on the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
it is a really good movie.
Ishi, you were asking about if after this is over, if I'm going to run a post-apocalyptic game, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Rifts or Gamma World?
Rifts.
Or both. Both combined.
I mean, you could do Gamma World in Rifts, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I would want to do. I would want to do basically one of those settings, but converted to be a Deadlands.
Ooh,
yeah.
Yes.
Isn't Deadlands and Rifts the same system?
No, there's too much power armor in Rifts, but no, that would be Gamma World, where everything's mutated and everything will kill you, and the ruins will kill you, and there's plenty of radiation. That would be Gamma World.
Ishi has found something to share.
We were talking about lesbian sword fights. This isn't a lesbian sword fight, but
what the hell am I watching?
Kenny versus Spenny.
Yes, Kenny versus Spenny.
And every episode is they have a competition. And this one is who can win a wiener fight.
No, they're actually calling it a cockfight.
He looks like Tetsuo the Iron Man.
What's going on?
Oh my god, what the fuck, dude? Roman candle!
And yes, these two are just one's highly neurotic and the other's just an asshole.
Yes.
And every week they have a competition about something else, and this one was a cockfight.
Yeah.
How is he reloading?
He's just got a bunch of different objects on the damn thing.
He's got a kitchen knife.
Yes.
Dude showed up ready to fight.
Mace. Oh shit, I forgot about that. No, there's one of these where it's really vicious, where Kenny
is the other guy's job just not to die?
You might want to step out, dude. I think you lost.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Oh,
dear God.
Who can win in a wiener fight?
Yeah.
He didn't, that one.
One where there was one where he locked him in a room for 3 days straight with just a bucket and food. And
yeah. The blue dude was locked in a room for 3 days.
But anyway, so Gamma World.
Oh, Gamma World is, it was made by, D&D. So it's different. But I don't know. I think you might have a lot of fun. Hey, I'm sending you something as a reply. It should be there in a couple minutes. It's it's a picture for you to throw up. Yeah, D&D Fallout. It's crazy.
Well, the thing is the reason I would prefer Gamma World to Rifts is Rifts is power armor heavy, and it's also really too much magic, in my opinion.
It depends on where you go.
I mean, Rifts.
NGR.
Literally anything could exist. That's the whole point of it.
I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to play Rifts Australia, where you can ride mutated psychotic kangaroos into battle. Hell yeah.
I usually I like running Rifts at about 93 PA. Rifts is. I mean, have you ever played Rifts?
Yeah, I like
Lucy?
Rifts.
Lucy?
Well, sorry, I'm looking at what you sent me.
Have you played Rifts?
I've played Rifts. Yes, I have.
Okay. I guess it depends on, Gamma World, though, doesn't have any magic. It just has mutations.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, the reason I was kind of iffy on Rifts is it's so overpowered. I just remember playing it, and I was playing a, oh God, what was the psychokinetic character?
Oh, Mind Melter.
Yeah, I played a Mind Melter with telekinesis that could lift 1d4 tons.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And the DM didn't understand how the hell it was that I was wiping entire towns off the map. It's like, you know how much a ton is, right? I can squash people.
It should have been gobbling up your ISP, but yeah, I mean, I run it a little earlier. I mean, let's see, Trista and Dad were in a camp, or were in the campaign. We suspended it to do this, where they were down in the Vampire Kingdoms in 93 PA, and they both had weird suits. Like Trista had a Silver Eagle out of Chaos Earth, and Dad had an Ulti Max about 10 years before they really showed up in North America. So it gave them unique armors, but they were still pretty much lots of nice little fights. But I also run the coalition like an actual country with a real military.
Yeah, they were kind of like the Empire in Star Wars is the way they were usually ran. So we're kind of at an impasse. It's either Rifts or...
No,
I can combine the two.
I'm okay with Gamma World. I will always say Rifts because it's so... I like to play it because it is over the top. Just like how crazy and stupid crazy can you get? That's just me.
Yeah, I play it pretty serious, but yeah, I mean, Gamma World
I've never played Gamma World, so I can't really say.
Gamma World is different.
Instead of magic, you have the Gamma, and those are mutations, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got robots.
Yeah, but they're dangerous, and there's not very many of them. Or if you do discover a lot of them, you should probably start running. Nobody makes robots anymore. They're from before the apocalypse. If I started running you guys, I'd probably do a good introductory is Famine and Fargo. What's funny is I've combined Rifts and Gamma World and had it work great. Run it low tech, run it low power. Have you guys do Famine and Fargo first for the CS and then explore Pittsburgh. Because it's all, the thing is about what a lot of people didn't realize about Magic is Magic had a range of like 100 feet and a railgun has a range of a mile. So they'd be like, oh, I'll just get close to them. Well, the whole time you're getting close, they're going to be shooting you with that railgun. But yeah,
well, whatever you feel like running. I would love to do something more in the vibe of like, again, Deadlands or
more exploring, more exploration then. More exploration and more, okay, what the hell did the ancients do here?
Yeah, just basically, well, I don't know. There's such a wonderful 80s mentality to Deadlands.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I could just, yeah. It is funny. I mean, I always, Rifts is always a good way to describe Rift is Thundar with power armor.
Really? Is that how you'd run it?
Yeah, where the Earth is still fucked up. If you run it back in 93 PA, the coalition hasn't firmly taken over their areas, and for the majority of those countries aren't established yet. They don't get established until about 98 to 100 PA.
Yeah, so you say Rifts, and immediately what I picture are, power armor and mechs getting into wrestling battles with dragons and wizards.
If you get into a wrestling battle in a mech, you've already lost.
Rifts is basically GURPS.
Yeah.
It could just be anything. Yeah. That's the whole point of it. It can be anything.
Well, I mean the setting, not the game, not the. I mean the FOSSA system, not FOSSA. The
Palladium.
Yeah, Palladium system is pretty much you can do anything.
Yeah. I mean, shit. As far, I've run games where, I know what you guys might like. Go through Chaos Earth, which is the volcanoes have exploded, the tidal waves have happened and washed all the way up to like Oklahoma, and 90% of humanity is dead, and just have you guys get to a safe point, go into cryogenic stasis, then come out about 90 PA. You have gear, you'd have weapons, that it would be a whole new alien world.
That sounds like fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Because Rifts is cool, because Rifts is one of the Chaos Earth, Rifts, Chaos Earth. I had a group of players who were totally shocked because they were used to D&D 5e, and one of them was like, "Hey, in the rule book here, there's an 80 millimeter mortar. Can I have that?" And I went, "Sure." And he went, "What?" I went, "Yeah, you have 100 rounds for it too." And he's like, "Well, that doesn't ruin everything." I'm like, "No." So can I fire this? Can I fire this thing on fully automatic? Yes, it says full auto, and it startles people because instead of hearing "No, you can't," you are encouraged to say "Yes, you can."
Yeah.
And Chaos Earth doesn't have that much magic in it, because what magic there is extremely dangerous. I mean, a lot of people bitch about Sambita. He has his faults. God knows I went round and round with him trying to convince him that, look, a laser is so high powered it's going to heat the air up where it goes through.
Yeah.
It's like that long.
Lasing something is just like with lightning.
Yeah, it was in the mailbox. It's a moth. Oh, maybe later.
Oh, I don't. Hey, have you guys seen that automatic tank with called the Iron Man, and it is outfitted with blue lasers that automatically kill insects and weeds?
Oh, you mean the tractor with the laser weeder? Yeah, it's kind of cool. Anyway, sorry, where was I? I argued with him because I said anything powerful enough to damage hyperalloys is going to make the air expand due to heat, and when the laser finishes, the air is going to collapse back into the channel, making a loud crack. Yeah. And he was like, "No, lasers are silent because my laser pointer is silent."
Oh God.
Oh. Laser pointer is just a flashlight.
Well, he didn't believe that motorcycles have starters. What? He believed that still in the 1990s, motorcycles were kickstart only.
Wow.
And the guy took him outside and showed him, and he still wouldn't believe it. So yeah, he's kind of stuck in the 70s and 80s, but yeah, and sometimes he didn't pay his freelancers, and sometimes he fucked shit up. But the guy had imagination. He stuck to his guns. Even if he was shooting at the wrong targets. But yeah, I mean, after we're done with this, I could run a Chaos Earth to Rifts and let you guys explore, basically Thundar the Barbarian land.
Okay, so what's this tank with lasers on it? I want to hear about this.
The tractor. The tractor.
It is using. Okay, so people don't want to know it, honestly, but it's basically built by Microsoft. 12 years ago, Microsoft was big into defeating diseases that were attacking third world countries.
Malaria.
So one of the big ones they went after was malaria. So he actually, Bill Gates, isn't he? Consigned his best programmers to figure out a way to defeat malaria. So the idea that they came up with was to retrofit blue lasers out of old CD players and PS2s and use them along with an advanced photo processor to automatically locate a certain sound, which was the frequency of the drone of a female insect's wings. Then it would identify a female, and if it was a female, it sent out the laser immediately and clipped their wings.
Yep.
And now it's being fitted on this machine. So here's my thing about this. This is an AI-controlled automatic tank. Like, it is the size of like a gas station. And it has, blue lasers that kill weeds and insects. Mm-hmm. So it is specifically programmed to, or it's programmed to kill specific living organisms. So what happens if somebody fits this thing with medical lasers and says, "Go hunt people with a cross"?
They
Well,
would
what if
need a
somebody
pretty good laser.
what if somebody mixed chlorine and what if somebody mixed ammonia and bleach and threw it into a fucking school? I mean, worrying about
That's not
what
AI
if.
controlled, so I think that's completely a conflation.
I bet I could rig up some Raspberry Pi stupid shit to launch it directly into the
Again,
into the
that's you.
right. And you're talking about what about somebody else who has the skill to do this? Medical
No.
lasers are so energy intensive they have to have capacitor banks.
Okay. And you're telling
Okay.
me an entire tank that's the size of a gas station doesn't have the room for that?
Does it?
Yes.
Does it have the room for the huge battery banks?
Dude, I've seen medical
I
lasers.
believe I put a picture
I've
of it on
also
the
been a
screen.
biotech before.
Okay.
I've repaired them.
Well, let's put it this way. I'll bet I could kill that fucking thing with a can of gasoline and a flare and some orange juice and styrofoam.
Maybe.
I think you could kill it by killing the mechanic.
That too.
Well, it doesn't. Right now, there's no one on it. It's automatic.
Yeah, but I can
It's a
kill.
remote operated vehicle.
I can kill it by killing the mechanic.
I just think that if all we're looking for is an externality of no chemicals, no pesticide or herbicide,
Yeah.
but we're creating something that's possibly worse, that's kind of silly.
Well, I mean, I'm not that worried about it because, I mean, it's a piece of farm equipment. I mean, an AT4 can knock that bitch right out.
You know what's kind of ironic about that is for years I've been telling Kat that I always wanted one of those lasers that is hot enough to make a exoskeleton on a bug pop. You know about those, right?
Yeah.
You can buy those now. They're like pen lasers that can pop bugs.
Well, I mean, that's basically what they have. They're blue lasers.
I want one of those, but with like a phalanx setup where it like shoots roaches that come near your house.
I mean, all you need is one of the handheld units and program it to kill roaches instead of insects.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to give somewhere. I mean, DDT turned out to have problems. They used to fucking pour it over neighborhoods. I mean, we've got to decide.
I think what I don't like the most is an AI that is programmed to kill a specific living organism.
Well, I can understand. I understand and appreciate your ethical concerns.
That's not even ethical.
To an extent, I do understand your concerns about the ethics of giving an AI the ability to take life, be it insect or not. I understand. On the other hand, progress marches forward, but on the gripping hand, we're going to have to figure this shit out sooner or later.
The one thing I will say is I don't ever want to get to a phase. I know we will. I would rather we never let machines decide to pull the trigger.
And that's what I'm saying. This thing already does. The only thing the remote operator does is put it in the right field.
I mean, I would prefer that our drones still have the pilot that decides whether or not that Hellfire gets launched.
Yeah, so do I. Not much different than a bug zapper, but at the same time, it's an AI bug zapper that reaches out a little bit further. I mean, I get your concerns. I really do. I understand your concerns. But like I said, progress marches on, and on the gripping hand, we have to address this sooner or later. And somehow malaria has come back to the U.S.
We know why.
Yeah.
We all know why. Bill Gates did it
or whatever.
I know people that believe it was probably
particularly engineered insects, if I remember.
Remember, the carbon they want to reduce is you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, what is it? Like, that's my thing too. I mean, you've got Bill Gates that is now going to lording over a system that protects the fields and crops of the world. And he's the guy that said, I want to reduce the population by a half. Seems like a good way to do that is to control the food.
And then you have people finally waking up and realizing that BlackRock and Microsoft have purchased huge amounts of suburbs and small towns.
Oh yeah.
And booted everybody out.
Well,
That forces
Bill Gates owns more farmland than all the farmers in America put together.
And they do it so that it forces people to move to the city. And what's really fucked up is, I've already gone off about this here in the channel, is the nutritional value of food has gone down.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The nutritional value of food is terrible now. I mean, I've got an apple tree, so I can go out and pick apples. And they're a lot smaller than the ones you get at the store. But I go and buy the ones at the store, and they're nothing but water.
Yeah. Well, they're GMO.
Well, they were GMO deliberately to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, mine's an old GMO hybrid that was designed to put out, more apples from like the 80s, and the apples still taste delicious, but the trunk's wider and the root system's wider than most, which is why they didn't do that one. Because I'm a weirdo.
Steve and I just did our first harvest of our garden, and you can truly taste the difference between like the homegrown stuff and the stuff you get in the grocery store. I forgot how sugary sweet carrots taste.
Oh yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
I want to throw something out there just to get the Bill Gates thing on the farmland. It's good to be concerned. I don't trust the fucker.
No.
And frankly, the sooner we hang him, the better. But just to put things into perspective here, Bill Gates is the largest owner of total farmland assets in the U.S. That is 242,000 acres right now.
That's nothing.
The U.S. has 1.9 billion acres of farmland.
240,000 acres. There's farmers out here that have this much.
Well, that's
So,
I mean, I know if there's a farmer. I talk to him now and then at the restaurant. He's got his fieldage is 4 miles by 5 miles, which is 20 square miles, which comes out to, oh God, 480 square acres per square mile. That's 400 square. Yeah.
He is buying up a lot of farmland, but he does. It's more a one person owning this much land versus having it all. But now, I don't mind the misinformation getting out and making him look bad.
You want to take a look at something that really looks bad? Bring up a map of. Actually, I'm going to send it to you. I will find it and send it to you because I don't know how to tell you how to get it. But take a look at what the U.S. government has seized in the last 50 years on the west coast, west of the Mississippi.
My bigger thing was if this becomes popular, or say he offers it at a discount, right? Replace your tractor, guys. You can have this. It'll take care of those pesky weeds, and do this, and retrofit it with a like a tiller or whatever, right? Could be an all-in-one, one-stop shop farming equipment. So you get a bunch of people to get that, and all of a sudden he's got control of every farm in the world.
All right, let's see here. I'm going to send this to you.
I mean, there's just 100 ways that machine can be bad news.
U.S. government land expansion over the last 50 years. Take a look at that. Take a look at it, and then take a look. Everything east of Texas, they barely touch, and they have been grabbing up more and more and more. The Sierra Club's huge on that.
So the Sierra Club's been buying a bunch of shit?
No, they push for people to lose their land so that the U.S. government can purchase it. Well, they purchase it, then they sell it to the U.S. government after they strip mine it.
Oh, I see. I'm looking at it right now.
You got to jailbreak the John Deere because they got the computer systems in them. They can't even repair their own tractors.
How many years was it? Land acquisition by the U.S. government for how many years?
About 50 years.
Thank you.
Shit, they almost own all of Nevada, third of California,
most of Arizona,
almost all of half Arizona. It looks like on this map, but I could be wrong.
Almost all of Alaska, almost all of can't even tell what state that is. Nevada, Idaho, and they've just been expanding rapidly for the last 20. I mean, how's that for startling? The way they've just gobbled it up. I mean, when you look at it, it's like, but you notice where they're not increasing it is east. It's kind of interesting.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Some of it was to supposedly protect things, to protect the forest lands and stuff like that, and to protect species. A lot of it was to protect species.
I see. You know what? I also bet the reason they can't grab as much land east of the Mississippi is because it's an older part of the country and a lot of old money owns it.
Yeah.
I bet that's it.
And it's just kind of startling. I mean, you got to remember the whole Bundy Ranch thing was because the U.S. government kept pushing their fences over onto their land. Despite everything else you hear about neo-Nazis and alt-right, no, the real disagreement, and them supposedly doing it, but moving their fences onto government land. The whole thing was about the U.S. government moving their fences and then planting endangered plants and saying, "Oh, this is ours now because it's endangered." Well, you planted it. It doesn't matter. Remember, if you have to hide a body, plant endangered plants on it because they have to get a federal injunction to dig it up.
Good to know.
That is very good to know, actually.
They established that during some of the court cases in the 90s.
So every endangered plant I see anywhere, I should just assume there's a dead body under it.
Yeah. Well, because they made a big deal. It's like, well, you can't dig that endangered plant up. Well, you came along and planted it. Yes, but it's endangered, so you can't dig it up or it's a federal crime.
So find the endangered plant that was, put there around Kennedy's time.
Yeah. Well, it's really weird. It's really weird. How do you talk to the conspiracy theory member of your family? I'm sorry, you were right. I should have listened. I hate that. Oh man.
Hey guys.
What?
Yo.
We'll end the night on this.
What?
But it has happened.
What?
It has absolutely happened.
What has happened?
What?
Because Sound of Freedom has done so well, they've trotted out Christians or white nationalists as the top story in the news.
Oh my God. That is the new boogeyman. Every time I turn around, leftists are saying Christian white nationalists are the villain and they're evil, and Christian nationalism is
QAnon.
I don't think it works anymore. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Christians are the ones that were guilt tripped into accepting everything that was even against their religion.
Christians have become pussies.
Hey, man. I'm a Christian. I'm not a pussy.
Hey, I have been Christian all my life. Dad's a pastor. I've been to a bunch of different churches. They have become we were willing to fight for what we believed in. They're not anymore.
It's because
they let it go out of schools. They let it go out of the communities. They let it go out of the government.
They wanted to be the good guys. They wanted to be loved. I don't know, man. I mean, so Christians are white nationalists now.
That's the new. It's not going to work. I mean, it's just at this point, no one.
It's just an update for the it's an update for the NPC programming.
I mean, it just means
is it an even update? It's basically you're a Nazi.
Yeah, that'll be the next update.
Nobody cared when they screamed anti-trans and anti-Semite, so now they're screaming white nationalist because, well, frankly, this movie is waking people up.
Well, I'd like to ask, what's a white nationalist?
Anybody who's white. Seriously, anybody who's white.
I've asked them, what's a white nationalist? Because I'm nationalistic. I'm very nationalistic. I believe in strong borders. I believe in our industry coming back to America. So every American, no matter what their race, color, creed, or sexual orientation, has a job that can support a family on one income. I believe in I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the amendments. I believe you have freedom of speech, freedom of association, right to bear arms.
I think that a white nationalist is someone who doesn't like pedophiles and human traffickers and BlackRock.
You know what a white nationalist is? Anyone they disagree with.
Yep.
Even if they're black.
Oh, don't you love it when you see black white nationalist, blah 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 blah? It's like, are
Well,
you?
I mean, they're really desperate when they're trotting that one out. I mean,
You know how many black white
Hispanics.
supremacists have showed up in our country in the last 10 years? I mean, all those.
Hispanics, the new face of white supremacy.
I don't know. You guys can remember. I'm sure.
Well,
you
you
guys,
know, Asians don't even have
and
an
what's his
ethnicity
name?
anymore.
Dave Chappelle predicted the whole like. No, wait, no, never mind. They played the black white nationalist. Dave Chappelle
yes.
did. Then Uncle Ruckus thought he was actually white.
You know, a lot of people they cannot define Nazi or white nationalist to you.
Remember
They just thought it
when
was a boogeyman.
the black comedy shows made fun of the things they now do and think are great?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember on In Living Color, the Home Shoplifting Network?
Yes, I do.
That was one of the funniest things that they had on that
I
show.
remember Martin had like the black preacher of the black culture, and he'd come and he'd be like, "Do you know that the first snow was black?"
You know, I could not stand the Martin show. It was just something about Martin himself that he just came off as so skeezy and like somebody that would, I don't
It was
know.
horrible. I'm just saying that they made fun of the things that are institutions today.
Oh, he even made fun of ghetto chicks. And Wolf's gonna kill me. Shanae. Sorry, I love Shanae on that show though.
Yeah. I don't know. The new face of white nationalism, Hispanics. The new face of white nationalism, Asians.
Yeah. Well, look, they're only trotting this one out because they're scared, and that is the only reason they're trotting it out is they're scared.
They're really mad that parents are paying attention to what's going on with their kids.
Yeah.
They're really mad about that. They're furious that because they've been trying since the 90s, the whole "it takes a village." No, it doesn't.
Now the village is shit.
It takes a village to raise a child. No, it doesn't. It's just stop trying to take my kids. If you want, look, crazy cat lady, you should have had some of your own. And that's
She
what
was
it
too
is.
busy fighting the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Let's call it an evening.
Trying not to step on any dicks.
Yeah.
Go watch Sound of Freedom. Buy Ishii's new book. Buy RALT'S books.
Yeah.
Buy Boobs of Steel.
Buy Buddy's books too.
Yes.
It's in,
Everybody
link
go
in
buy
the
stuff.
description. Link in the description.